broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Just enjoy it because it's for the last time ever. Ever. The episode after the penultimate episode of the league. So not only are we here for the very last time ever, but the cast members of the league for the very last time ever are having a show, which means we're here. This is the last time we'll be talking about the league here on AFTERBUZZ TV.
That's right. Now we could rewatch the episodes and all that, but no.
I mean, we'll consistently be rewatching these episodes back to season 1 because they're all on DVD. But as far as actually covering here on AFTERBUZZ TV, the After Show Network, this is the last time.
That's right.
Ever. I am George Hermoza.
Unless it comes back on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon
we're going to come back on AFTERBUZZ TV?
Or as a movie.
Oh, the movie would be good. Oh, I do like the whistling. Oh, I love the whistling. But I am your host with the most as I enter the post office to mail out my... Do people still mail things nowadays?
No, they don't.
I am George Hermoza. You are... I get it wrong. Svil? I don't know why I say Svil. Because I don't know if I should say Svitek or Phil Svitek.
You can call me Phil.
Phil. Call you Phil.
I'm not like Ruxin. We got his name legally changed to Ruxin.
I thought that was funny. But yeah, the very last episode of the league ever. Not the season finale, but the series finale of the league. So
how would you rate it?
I liked it. On a scale of 1 to 72, I'd give it like a 59.
Okay. I go 61.
Okay, yeah. I liked it. I really liked this episode. It kind of ties everything together. I mean, of course, with the league, there's not really that many like holes in the plot, if you know what I mean. It's not like other more dramatic shows where it's like you're kind of left like, oh, but what happened to this guy? What happened to that girl? It just, it's the league.
Yeah.
Just, not really much to kind of fill in.
But at the same time, you want a nice ending, and I think they did that.
Yeah. I didn't like who actually won the Shiva. Would have been
coin?
nice if, it would have been nice if somebody won it. But of course, the very last episode called "The Great Night of Shiva," and as maybe some of us predicted, a comeback, a couple returns of this on this episode. Not just Megan, but Shiva came back as well.
Yes, she did.
So obviously, as a kind of the last week's episode ended with Megan ended up being pregnant, and of course that's how that episode ended. So obviously we knew that at the start of this episode was going to be Megan, obviously still pregnant. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did we kind of predict who the father was going to be last week?
I don't even think we talked about it.
I could have sworn I said it with somebody. I just don't remember if it was on this show or just maybe I just thought it in my head.
It must be some other show you're hosting.
No, that's impossible. This is the only time I ever talk about the league here on AFTERBUZZ TV. But yeah, so obviously the beginning of the episode it starts with Andre and Megan getting married. So Megan Nozick, I guess her name is. She said
Terrible name.
Yeah, she'll get used to it. And then so that's kind of how that started. But we have a couple storylines where we saw, obviously the whole Andre Megan thing. Ruxin kind of in a dilemma.
He's always tinkering.
And yeah, in this case, it was a little bit more than just his fantasy lineup. Pete and his DraftKings finale being in the final 10.
Quite intense.
Final 10 of the league. And of course, Kevin and Jenny with the, I guess they officially call it the snip.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to get the snip trophy? It's either Kevin is going to get his vasectomy or Jenny's going to get her tubes tied.
And then you kind of have Rafi and Taco. They got their own thing going. So yeah, I mean, you want to start with the gender party?
We could.
I thought, you know what? I actually thought it was a little bit clever.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly like gender parties. I like maybe adding a little bit of fun to it. Honestly, and I went to a gender party not too long ago, and I asked the parents to be if they knew the sex of the child. And they're like, yeah, I do. I think it would be a lot more fun if they didn't know the gender of the child.
Everyone's just guessing.
Including the parents.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool, but...
Including the kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that kid's wondering if he's going to be gonna tuck in or tuck out, right?
You know what? Ultimately, she gets to decide if she is a he or a she.
Pretty much. I did like the whole, like, Taco and his disappearing act. Mm-hmm. Just like a manual, not even like he didn't throw anything. It was just like a poof, and then just kind of sneaks away. Typical Taco.
Just like Batman.
But there was something brought up at the, I guess it was at the gender party, where Ruxin was kind of trying to put some stuff together, and it turns out that Megan, because she's doing Labor Day, which Labor Day is in August or September.
September.
So that would mean she looked maybe like 2-3 months pregnant.
I don't know. You shouldn't say those things.
Yeah, that's true. But either way, kind of going back, and I did like the whole like flashback to a previous episode and the whole beer mile, kind of trying to figure out the timeline. And yeah, Ruxin's suspicion was kind of correct as far as Andre not being the father of a little baby Nozick.
Indeed. You know, it's rough. It's rough. And you know what would you have done
if I was
Ruxin?
I was going to ask you the same thing, so you stole my thunder.
Well, I'll answer too.
Okay. That's a good point. I probably would have said something to everybody involved.
I think the intent is obviously what matters. You know, here's the thing. Ruxin, the reason he was torn is because if he told, it would have been a gloating sense of pride. And it wouldn't have been about like doing the right thing. It was just more about rubbing it in both their faces. But I think ultimately, you know, you kind of, if it's not your kid, I hope someone, I would tell somebody.
See, even if it was me and that kind of felt bad, I would have told someone else to tell that person. Like Jenny would have probably been the perfect person to tell.
Would you like write an anonymous letter? Speaking of the post office, would you write an anonymous letter?
Probably.
Dear Andre, your kid is not your kid.
Probably.
Do some investigating.
I mean, it turns out, like you said, Andre always loses pretty much at the end.
That's what they, you know, I like that little bow on Pete wins numerous things, and Andre, as clever as he thought you know, that DraftKings couldn't buy you happiness.
And even flashing back to the first episode where they were like, well, I bet you anything who's going to end up being the happiest by the end of the season. Obviously, Pete winning the $1 million. I mean, he was, I think, more upset about being in Sacco. But I guess you can say Andre was still happy because he didn't know that wasn't his kid until 18 years later.
That's where it all came unglued.
I did like the part where, I guess maybe going on to Kevin and Jenny and them talking about their whole, I guess you can call it the Fertility Bowl.
Yeah, that was a tough bowl.
I did like that scene where Taco's kind of hiding behind the couch and Rafi comes in and it's like, oh yeah, me and Margaret are trying too. I thought Margaret was going to be that scuba instructor, the kid swim instructor, but I think she was like, she came back not
definitely wasn't going to be that.
But
I thought it would be some horse, some cat, something, some raccoon.
But it was a watermelon.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this. I mean, I can't ever get this side out of my head, but that interaction that Rafi was having with the watermelon, was that like oral sex, or was the watermelon giving him oral pleasures, or was he just flat out intercoursing with the watermelon with Margaret?
I think he said one last time, and you know what? Usually when people say one last time,
they just go all the way.
Yeah, and with Rafi, you know what? I think it could have been the butt. I think Rafi's more of a butt guy.
That actually, yeah, that's a pretty good point. And then kind of, like I said, Ruxin kind of going back and forth with his dilemma, and here comes Shiva. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought something was gonna happen between Ruxin and Shiva.
Well, apparently, something, they get married.
I did like that whole cameo as old Ruxin. Larry David, probably the perfect guy to play old Ruxin. Jeff Goldblum, great guy to play his dad. Larry David, great guy to play old Ruxin.
Yeah, you know, and especially because it's the whole Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens kind of reference of, you know, ghost of future you know.
Are you a fan of Larry David? I've never been I can't say not a fan. I've never really watched like Seinfeld or Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like, what did you see? What did you think when you saw him?
Yeah, I'm kind of more the same way. But he has this weird sense of humor about him, and that I enjoy. And what was nice to see, kind of his interpretation of Ruxin. And I thought he did brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, kind of a weird. What would happen if Ruxin tells Pete? I'm sorry, Andre, and because obviously Megan knew. What would happen if Andre was told? I mean, apparently Kevin dies after he sees the Oracle. Flashback to episode 1 out of all episodes, episode 1, which I thought was kind of funny, and kind of like the fact that they use the same guy. But he obviously, Kevin dies. Taco ends up getting with Jenny. Little Ellie turns out to be like a little whatever she is, and she's already got a kid.
She works at a tattoo parlor.
But yeah, Ruxin and Shiva end up hooking up in that dream sequence, which I kind of thought was going to happen in real life, to be honest with you. Maybe it would have if it wasn't for Rafi.
I think it did.
Well, maybe.
Eventually.
I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing. Ruxin didn't win the trophy, but he got the real thing. And that's what I believe.
Yeah. I mean, she kind of has had her way. I mean, she took Kevin's virginity back in high school. She was with Andre for a little bit. I don't think really she did anything with Pete. They had a make-out session when Ruxin had a stroke. You see Shiva in the hospital, and suddenly they make out, and he's all better now. So would have been the first time if their lips locked.
She's a beautiful woman.
She really is. I mean, she's always been gorgeous, but when she came on today, I mean, that girl was looking better than ever. Kudos to, forgot her real name.
Shiva.
How often do you think that she walks down the street and people call out Shiva? The Shiva.
The Shiva. 3 out of 6.
It wouldn't surprise me, even though I know she's been in other roles. I know she was on True Blood. I know she's done some other stuff, but she's always going to be the Shiva.
She will.
She's going to be the league's version of Screech.
I mean, what's great about that role is that regardless of whether or not she was in the episode, she's always referenced. And so she kind of just took on this larger-than-life role.
Yeah.
So that's always great when you don't have to do much acting, but you're like iconic regardless.
Yeah. She's always going to be on that pedestal, especially with the show, and obviously with an ending, she's always she definitely left a lasting legacy on the show. And I'm sure there are a lot of other leagues in real life that maybe do call their trophies the Shiva. I don't, but I'm sure a lot of people do. And honestly, when we were discussing trophy names, one of them was Shiva. So that's how meaningful she was to not just the show, but in life and just fantasy football in general.
Okay.
So kudos to you, Shiva. You've left a lasting mark on just life in general. Pete wins DraftKings, apparently.
Yeah, I really like this. Everyone's just so intense because it's obviously opposite of everything that he's ever known with, the taunting and everything.
Did he call the guy like a shit sipper? And he's like, wait, why would you call me that? I don't sip shit.
And it's like, wow, I'm just taunting you, bro.
And then
Stop looking at my lineup.
There was that other guy that just kept looking at him like the whole time. I'm like, there's other guys that you're competing with too. Why are you just staring down Pete? But there's always that one guy.
I think that guy was kind of in the corner, so the only way he could look was that way.
It's like that one guy. I mean, I'm not an actor, so I've never been to like an audition, but I hear it all the time where you have this room full of these actors going for the same part. And they're like, no, man, bro, don't talk to me. I'm trying to psych myself out for this role. Oh, man, like I hear that all the time.
I also think it's this, right? So what makes their league fun is that they are amateurs in some way, right? And so rather than actually be able to pick teams and do this and that, they taunt each other. And that's to them is more fun than anything, right? But now here's Pete competing in a legitimate kind of like this is people's livelihood, right? And there's a whole seriousness associated with it where sometimes when you go pro, you lose the fun.
Yeah,
and I think that's what he definitely saw.
Especially since their championship was decided in a very similar way, as opposed to it's not one versus the other, Yeah, they were playing for different prizes, but it was just straight out highest score wins, lowest score loses. So that was kind of a DraftKings way of kind of doing. And they all kind of culminate, except for Pete, because he was at the DraftKings. But in that Indian restaurant, where suddenly Taco appears in the middle of the dance sequence.
You know what? Yeah, poof.
I did like it did kind of seem like they were going all out. I did like I do love like the whole culture aspect of like, you know, that Indian kind of thing where people were dancing. I thought from a visual standpoint, I thought it looked really cool.
I thought it did too. It's always interesting how people never really pick I felt for sure, especially like the first moment when Taco's kind of dancing. If you're really someone there, you'd have to be like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you know, who is this guy?
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you.
I mean, they're literally making fun of this religion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they've definitely gone to all aspects of, yeah.
Relax, your league's going to be next.
Probably. So that's where they kind of decided where everything is done. So I think they kind of decided first whether or not it was going to be the Fertility Bowl, Kevin versus Jenny. Kevin wins, which means Jenny had to get her tubes tied, but somehow Kevin ends up losing in more ways than one.
Yeah, this as soon as he throw, I mean, I guess I could have predicted it a little bit earlier, but I didn't, and it was just great seeing that shot and seeing him come in, and you know, the way they did it with the kind of the blur on his, you know, downstairs.
He flat out lost them, because I know, and I think in a vasectomy they just kind of cut something.
Yeah, this just...
You don't really lose anything. They just cut it.
This hurt me, because that's like scissors going for your chin. Like, this was... as a guy, you can't face these things.
Yeah. And then obviously the Sacco was down to Pete and Taco. And Pete was the Sacco, which even though he was the winner in DraftKings, so he did win $1 million, and I'm completely with him, somehow winning a championship in your league is just more important than money. I've come in second numerous times in my league, and they're like, well, at least you won, you know, most of your money back, or you won your money times 3. Trust me, it's not about the money. Just being able to be called champion is just the ultimate. And so I get Pete, $1 million richer, but sometimes money just doesn't do it.
Fair enough.
And then of course the ultimate prize, Shiva, I know we talked about earlier, it was down to Ruxin, and the coin for the Shiva. And it came down to
he tinkers. That was funny.
It came down to a flip of a coin. It's funny because I thought he said heads, not tails.
He said heads.
Yeah.
No tails.
Yeah. Then I kind of realized that, because when I saw heads, I'm like, oh, he won. And then when they said no, you know, the coin won. I'm like, oh, heads, no tails. Okay, I get it. But yeah.
No, it was a lesson. Don't tinker.
Kind of ties everything all together. I swear to God, no, this is a true story. So obviously a lot of people's playoffs start, you know, this week, and in one of my leagues, the only reason why I didn't make the playoffs is because I tinkered.
Stupid.
Swear to God, I had Adam Vinatieri. I dropped him because the Colts were pissing me off.
Like just like Ruxin on the toilet.
Yeah, I dropped them, and then had I would have kept them, I would have won, and I'd be in the playoffs right now. So lesson learned: don't tinker.
That's right.
Let someone else tinker, but just don't tinker. Kind of ties over everything all together. So 18 years in the future, when little Andre, no, is it Andre the second? No, what's the kid's game?
Well, I think they had a second kid.
No.
And that was their only son?
That was their only son. But it wasn't Andre Jones. I think it was like Andre the second or something like that.
Okay.
They, you know, Andre gives him the present, which, by the way, full head of hair, Andre. I don't know where that came from.
Just, you know, just years.
I'm sure there's procedures, and I mean, this is 18 years in the future, 2033. So who knows what procedure they have? Which, by the way, I'm sure I can use every now and then. He gives
don't use it like him.
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
terrible. Although he had hair.
I mean, for me, I just need to fill in some spots, but that's about it.
Rogaine, baby.
Does that really work?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm always afraid that I don't want to lose my money. But 18 years in the future, he gives the kid a present, as in like his own fantasy team and his own message board and whatnot. And my question is, when the video came up, I guess you call it like a time capsule video from 18 years ago, and they all announce that Andre isn't the kid's father and it is Pete. Nobody's watched this video? Is it just like Andre never watched the video?
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes it's like one of those things. I think you can, even today, you can kind of time capsule something into the future. And you know, meaning like whatever. Especially online, like there's an encryption or whatever. Like you know, because you're gonna be tempted to look if you kind of create something. But
and the look on the kid's face when he realized that Andre isn't his dad.
So relieved.
He's like, you mean I don't have to wear this ridiculous clothes anymore? And his dad probably, who knows if he's still a millionaire because he only won $1 million, but the relief on his face. And of course, like you said,
does that make Pete a shitty dad?
Probably. Because, I mean, I would think, too, where it was like, I thought at the end what was going to happen was because Ruxin didn't win, I thought that's when he was going to tell everyone that, you know, Andre, and obviously Jenny knew for some reason. I don't think she ever said how she knew.
Women's intuition.
Yeah, probably. See, I thought that's how it was going to end. But little did I know, Pete doesn't even, he knows he's the dad, but he doesn't do anything for at least 18 years. Maybe it is a shitty dad.
Yeah, it was just kind of that Megan is this ultimate shitty person that he could have kind of said something, gotten back with her. Yeah. Andre would have went on to basically become, I don't know, Ben Stiller from Dodgeball when he was fat.
Yeah, see, that's not,
depression.
I thought it was going to be this whole thing where, like, it started off with Pete and Megan, and it's going to end with Pete and Megan. That's how I thought it was going to happen, but I was completely wrong. But yeah, like you said, I didn't even think about that. Pete is a shitty dad.
He is the world's worst.
Even though he had a shirt that says "World's Greatest Dad," apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's it. That's the episode of the League. Now, before we wrap up this very last episode of the League after show, 7 great seasons. Do you have a favorite episode, favorite line, favorite moment?
I like the Dirty Randy and Rafi episodes. It's tough to think of a line, but the one where they kind of go to L.A., and they have their meetings. They're in that pool, but it has no water. That to me, just very funny. And kind of what I ultimately love is that they just took comedy. They weren't afraid to go there. I mean, South Park goes there. These guys go there, and I always appreciate that about the League is that they're definitely not PC.
Yeah, I agree. One of my favorite episodes, and I'd love to hear anybody watching or anybody listening. I'd love to hear what your guys' favorite episode is as well. Season 2, I think it was like episode 7 or 8. Its title was called Fear Boner. I don't know if they can maybe play it as we wrapping up the show, but at the end of it, you kind of had Fear Boner, Toggle playing Fear Boner, and then of course it ended with Pete's Tiny Erectic, which I thought was a funny song. As far as line goes, there's a line I want to say 2-3 seasons ago where it was the episode where that Victoria's Secret model was on, Erin Heatherton, I think her name was, and she was like Ellie's basketball coach, and Ruxin had a picture of I think they're about to play Fear Boner. Ruxin had a picture of her, and he was yanking it, and I forgot who Pete was getting chased by the Allie Larder's husband. Yeah, runs into Ruxin. Ruxin's like middle of
mid tug, and he
what was it? What's the name of it? Vinegar strokes. Middle of his vinegar strokes. Pete is there, and then Ruxin, probably my favorite line of the whole season. Clean up on I O Me. When he said that, I was literally rolling. I know a lot of people say LROFL. I was literally rolling on the floor because I thought that was hilarious.
That was a good one.
Do you have a little Fear Boner at all from one of my favorite episodes?
There we go. I also liked when Shiva was first kind of introduced as a person and how confused she was. Because you can imagine if you're this person, like imagine if someone put you on a trophy and worshipped you.
Yeah.
You'd probably be happy.
Or weirded out. Depends who's the one worshiping me. This is my favorite part.
Gross old dudes.
Fear boner.
Sing it, George.
Fear boner. There's a soundtrack?
There's a whole League soundtrack.
Does it have Pete's Tiny Erectic? I think so. Probably right to the right. But yeah, that's one of my few episodes. Like I said, anything Rafi, Dirty Randy. Like honestly, and at first, that first episode they were together, I didn't really get it. I was like, oh, that's a little too out there. But once I kind of grasped it by like the second episode, they were like, especially the origin where they kind of became Dirty Randy and Rafi.
That was the episode I was referring to.
Yeah, that was
one of those things like the League. You either go with it. but they don't apologize for anything. So
nor they should. Nor they should.
So,
but like I said, 7 seasons. I plan on getting the 7th season on DVD when that comes out. Like I said, I like to watch it. I don't know if it is on Netflix. That's where I first discovered the show, on Netflix.
I mean, I'm sure it'll be, it's not going to be tomorrow on Netflix, but eventually.
Eventually. But yeah, if not, like I said, you can always watch it on DVD. That way, if your internet goes down, you don't have to worry about it. You can just pop in a DVD and just watch it at your own command or demand.
So I think that's about it.
That's it. I just want to keep it going, but really, we kind of covered it all. That's literally not just the episode, not just the season. The Shiva Shuffle. I did like this one. This was like the opening of season 3.
Oh yeah. This was a good one.
Yeah, it had Maurice Jones-Drew, Brent Grimes. Yeah. But yeah, not just this episode, not just wrapping the season, wrapping the series.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. So
until next show.
I don't know. I don't even know what's left. I mean, I do like this part. Drums.
Where can the people follow you, George?
Where they can follow me at so we're gonna rap on this song. Where they can follow me out on Twitter, on Instagram at Hermoza, GHERMOZA. I'm on that like up and down of 400 followers. It's like one day it's 400, then the next day it's like 398. So just like 5 people just add me, so I can just stay consistently at 400 and get the congratulatory email. I'm on being Twitter for 400 followers. So
there you go.
Keeping my fingers crossed. What about you, Phil?
Follow us here at AfterBuzz TV, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff, and plenty of other shows down the pipeline. So fear not, show hole is not an issue.
Yeah, definitely. There are shows all over the place. You can go to the right where there's a lot of suggestions to watch if you're watching it on YouTube. If you're on iTunes, you can search AfterBuzz TV at any time.
There's a whole George Hermoza playlist.
There is one. You can watch me on UFC, WWE this Sunday as we cover TLC. I don't know, maybe I'll be on South Park tomorrow, just crashing, because I know I'm kind of in withdrawals. Damn, this song is really long. I didn't know how on the episode this song was only like a minute long. But,
we out!
But yeah, we'll see you hopefully for the next show. Thank you for watching or listening.
What charity is this anyway? I thought we were doing this for the environment.
Oh yeah, it's definitely gonna make the world a better place.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.